Good evening all and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can see, a little bit casually dressed today. Been out on the doors all day again and got back in to listen to the leaders debate on LBC, which I understand was also broadcast on the BBC. I don't get the BBC because I don't pay for propaganda. Anyway, what did we learn? Well, not really a great deal. The biggest problem is when you're listening to stuff like this is all the shouting and catcalling that goes on. And unfortunately I've seen it on the doorstep as well over the last couple of days. Bumped into a Labour activist on Monday, I think it was. Yeah, today's Wednesday, see I'm losing track of time. Bumped into a Labour activist on Monday. I didn't have my rosette on, I had my high vis on because I was out leafleting rather than canvassing. He's popped up to me, smiled, tried to give me a John McDonnell leaflet, and he turned around to me and said, "Oh, I take it you're going to vote Labour." And I said, "Well, no, actually I'm going to vote UKIP." To which I got the reply, "Why are you voting for UKIP? They're a racist party." Well, I just had to laugh, to be honest. I just had to laugh. I looked at him and said, "You do realise I'm the candidate?" And he kind of stuttered. And I said to him, "Well, can you please name me one policy in UKIP that is discriminatory against people?" And he hummed and he hawed and he couldn't do it. And then he made a reference to something that Nigel had said once, which I pointed out to him that the reason he was talking about migrants on trains is because basically if you've got more people you're going to have more delays. So he hummed and hawed about that and couldn't quite work it out. And then the most annoying thing, I pointed out to him how diverse our membership here is in Hillingdon, and I also pointed out to him that our education spokesman and GLA member is actually a proud BME Briton. His answer to that was, well, anybody from a minority background voting UKIP must be stupid. Right, okay, so you're not actually categorising people by skin colour and ethnicity there, are you? This is Labour. Also had a little chat with him afterwards because he said, what would you do about taxing the rich? So I told him what we'd do about corporation tax and how we would close the loopholes that the European Union have put in place, which of course Labour wanted to stay in, so wouldn't have been able to do. And he looked at me all puzzled. Then I asked him, "Have you heard of the Laffer curve?" "What's the Laffer curve?" he said. I said, yeah, you haven't heard of it, and obviously John McDonnell hasn't either. The Laffer curve is a well-proven economic principle which turns around and states that once taxation gets above a certain level, then the amount of money that you actually take from taxation drops because people who are rich enough will find ways to legally avoid it, or they'll just up sticks and leave. And I gave him an example, which was France under the socialist government of Francois Hollande, because when Monsieur Hollande took charge, he put in some of the high taxation principles that John McDonnell wants to put in. And guess what happened? London all of a sudden has a hell of a lot more rich Frenchmen knocking around, and the French tax take, along with their economy, has tanked. I said to him that what we should really be looking at, apart from obviously sorting out the corporation tax side of things, is let's take people on low wages out of income tax altogether. So raise the tax threshold to the level of the minimum wage, which also doesn't cripple business because you haven't got small businesses trying to find extra money. He looked at me and went, oh, and got a little bit stressed about it and walked away waving his hand, shaking his head. And we pretty much saw some of that tonight, didn't we? Paul Nuttall put forward some quite straightforward things. It's amazing how these politically correct parties do not know the difference between an Islamist and a Muslim. Let's get this straight, guys, on terrorism. Islamists are a problem to Muslims and everybody else in the community, and calling out Islamist terrorism for what it is, one, is not racist, and two, is not scapegoating Muslims, because Muslims have as big, if not more, in the case of the Ahmadi and the Sufi, a problem with it than we have. So let's drop the political correctness, guys, hey? Let's drop it on these debates, and also let's drop it on the doorstep. Let's talk about real policies. But then again, as I've seen on the doorstep, Labour would rather smear and throw around casual insults than talk about real policy. Well, tomorrow night I'll be facing John McDonnell on the Hayes FM debate. Should be quite interesting. We'll be live from 7 o'clock. That's 91.8 FM. You can also go online to hayesfm.org. Should be a very interesting debate. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if we actually get answers or more smears. Hope to hear from you tomorrow. Bye.